Good morning. Hormone Bootcamp day 9. I hope you guys are starting to see some effects just from doing water, minerals, and now adding the fermented cod liver oil, basically boosting your vitamin D. So, today, what I want to talk about is number one, remind you that pretty much everything that I did, everything that I do, Beer Diet Project, my diet, I basically filter it through the 5 things that I learned about when I was a home brewer, which was paying attention to the quality of water, minerals, pH, temperature, and then bacteria or yeast. And so the first week we covered water and minerals, and we really only skimmed the surface, but I'm giving you guys like the best information, just compressing like even though it's like a little bit of information is really what I feel it is going to have the most impact in your diet. So for pH and temperature, that's basically what we are starting to work with. That's what vitamin D is all about. This is why this was the one of the most important steps that I was able to take in order to take control of my health. And what you want to understand when it comes to vitamin D is the main reason why you want your vitamin D levels to be at least at normal levels, and if not higher. And there's a bit of, I guess, there's no exact consensus as far as what is the actual level that you should be at. I've heard different ranges from 30 to 55 nanograms per deciliter. I've also read that it's better to be somewhere in the 60 to 80 some and above. But regardless of that, I think that really what you need to understand is that the higher your vitamin D levels, the more that your body's able to absorb calcium. And here's why that's important. When it comes to regulating pH, calcium was the number one ingredient that I used to regulate pH as a home brewer. You can go into any home brewer supply store or talk to any brewer, and they're going to tell you that basically gypsum salt or calcium carbonate were basically the two main salts that we would use to regulate pH. Calcium carbonate, remember I shared with you guys ways to make alkaline water. One of them was by adding sodium bicarbonate. So then that's where the carbonates come in. Carbonates basically will help you, increase the pH, make more alkaline. Calcium will make it more acidic, but that's basically how the body regulates its pH. And so the body needs to be able to absorb calcium. The second thing with that, I hear a lot of people that they hear me talk about vitamin D, the importance of taking vitamin D, and then they go out and they buy vitamin D supplements. And most of these supplements tend to be either synthetic type of hormones, or who knows what it is, but you're practically eating a rock, and the body's not going to be able to actually absorb it. And so most of these supplements, that's why it's junk, and that's why I've already spent thousands on trying to find out what's the best thing, and this is why fermented cod liver oil for me has been the number one thing that I use to boost my vitamin D levels. And there's confusion there too, because you might hear doses, and one of the things to understand when it comes to vitamin D is that it's our intestines that have vitamin D receptors. Those vitamin D receptors need to have about 5,000 IUs of vitamin D, and that's when the body is basically running efficiently and it's essentially able to absorb calcium. So understand that that is not the dose that you need to take, but that is basically the amount that your vitamin D receptors in your intestines need to have. And that basically correlates to your vitamin D levels in your body. So don't confuse the two. And more importantly, if you are supplementing with vitamin D levels and you're measuring it in IUs, and I've heard crazy numbers, people will take anywhere from 5,000, 10,000. I've heard people taking up to like 25,000 IUs, and your vitamin D levels aren't going up. again, it's because it's not the supplement that's going to get your vitamin D levels to go up. Your body needs to make its own. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to train our bodies to make its own hormones. If you supplement with hormones, you're essentially making your body lazy. You're basically not helping your body actually function. And so we want to actually train our bodies to function properly, and this is where improving gut health will always be the thing that I come back to. It's basically just helping my body, giving it the nutrients, not so much just for my body, but also for my gut flora, because your gut flora is basically what produces hormones. That's what makes vitamins. That's basically what we are dealing with. So the more you understand about this, you begin to understand why my home brewing knowledge has basically been what helped me understand health and really take control of my health. Is because all of these concepts, I just saw them over and over while brewing beer. And so now that I'm researching health, I see that it's exactly the same thing. And so now I'm just, passing down the information over to you guys. But anyway, so with pH regulation, once your body begins to regulate its pH, then, and especially if you have high levels of vitamin D, your body temperature should also begin to, regulate itself. So those are things that you're going to be looking forward to. Now that you understand that, and that one of the main reasons why we're trying to boost our vitamin D levels is because we're trying to help our bodies absorb calcium. This is where now you also have to start to become aware of your diet. How much calcium is in your diet? So if you guys are doing the hormone bootcamp, you're still documenting what you eat every day. But now we're going to start adding layers to what you're becoming aware of. So now you're starting to become aware of, okay, not only what are you eating, but what are you not eating? What are you actually specifically looking for in your diet? So one of the things that I look for is sources of calcium. And the best two sources of calcium for me have been almonds and or dairy like milk products. Now, I don't consume dairy too much, and most of you know that I'm mostly on a plant-based diet, so I don't really eat too much meat. But dairy does have a lot of calcium, and it's actually one of the main foods that I use to produce hormones. And I've already shared the video, but we're going to talk about it more again during week 6. But what I'm trying to point out here though is you need to start looking into your diet and asking yourself, am I eating enough calcium in my diet? Right? And start looking for foods, which it doesn't necessarily have to be just almond or dairy. It can also be things like spinach has a lot of calcium, kale and things like that. But basically start paying attention to what you're eating and start asking yourself, how much calcium is in my diet? Right? So these are basically things that you're going to start to notice. And what you're going to see, and from talking to a lot of people, whenever someone's deficient in vitamin A, they're usually also deficient in vitamin. Let me see if I said that right. Whenever someone's deficient in vitamin D, they're usually also deficient in other vitamins like A, E, or K. And what I'm seeing happen sometimes is that you're either deficient in vitamin D, like more so than A, or you're more deficient in vitamin A than you are so with D. And I think that's where you see a difference where if you have more of a vitamin A deficiency, you might see more of like, different like fibrosis and things like that. Um, people that get like joint pain and like more fibromyalgia type of like deals. And that usually comes from like vitamin A. But regardless, you can't just supplement with one of those vitamins. You have to basically look at the whole thing, like the whole picture. Don't just look at your vitamin A levels or your vitamin D levels. Look at all of these 4 vitamins: A, D, E, and K. All right, that's basically what I focused on. And trust me, like once you get that down, your diet is going to basically start to improve. And so I actually linked back to the blog post on a thyroid diet, and now you're going to start to see how my progression went from a standard American diet to more of a paleo based type of diet, and then how I started adding things like traditional cooking, where I started to pay attention to not only the source of food but how food was prepared. And now it's very minimalistic, where like I'm literally just giving my body like what I know it truly needs. And so a lot of people look at my diet, and I mean, it's very different than what most people eat in a day. I mean, if people at work, they see I have an entire backpack full of like mason jars because I'm primarily like on a liquid based diet. But the people hear that, it's like, you don't eat solid food. It's like, it's not that I don't eat solid food, it's that I'm giving my body just what it needs. And when you understand what the body needs, which more than anything, water, minerals, growing your gut flora, anything that helps improve the health of your gut, that's basically what you want, right? That's really what you need. And then everything else, it really depends on if you're active. Obviously, you're going to want to make sure that your body's getting amino acids so that it builds its own protein. If you're not being active, you can scale back. And if you're really trying to more clear your mind, meditate, and be more in a calm state, then you need to basically tailor your diet towards that. And, that's a little bit more advanced, but these are things that I'm basically learning about and, practicing myself. But I'm basically sharing with you my journey and everything that I did to produce hormones, and this is basically where it's at. But you can see what my diet now, like my ketogenic smoothie. One of the things that I add in one of the staples in my diet is raw almond butter. And basically, and I do get like almonds, and I haven't really had much time, but I also like to make almond milk, but I get I make it from scratch, where I get like the actual raw unpasteurized almonds. I soak them, make sure to remove anti-nutrients, and then I just blend it and make my own almond milk. I'll make it also into like a golden with a turmeric type of milk. So there's like different things that you can do, but that's like a source of calcium. So between that and boosting my vitamin D levels, that's basically one of the ways that I am, helping my body improve its health and vitality. So hope you guys got value from today's video. Again, I'm excited for everyone who's still participating. And yeah, thank you everyone again for following me, liking my videos, commenting, and sharing my videos. Look forward to seeing more of your results, and stay tuned. Talk to you guys later.